Okay.
All right. We'll call the meeting to order. Good evening. This is the monthly meeting of the Village of Lake Bluff Architectural Board of Review, September 2nd, 2025. Call the roll, please.
Sure. Member Cottrell,
Present.
Member Dahlman,
Here.
Member Deegan,
Here.
Chair Hunter.
Here.
Okay, and members Stradiff, Kerouac, and Wicks are absent, but we have a quorum of 4.
Okay, the minutes of the last meeting, the August 5th meeting, any comments, corrections? If not, then need a,
I move to approve the minutes.
okay, second?
Second.
Okay,
All in favor?
yeah, all in favor, this one is aye.
Aye.
Just say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, right now we have we set 10 minutes aside, 15 minutes aside for a non-agenda, visitors. And we know we have non-agenda visitors in the audience right now. Staff, can we switch the order here for, because I think the next one's gonna be short. Okay, do we have to make a motion to do that?
I guess, yeah, I guess that's right.
Does anybody,
Motion to-
yeah, could somebody
switch the-
make a
change
motion
the-
that we switch the non-agenda and the fire sprinkler?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so John, you're up. And I think it's pretty much everything you have is pretty self-explanatory, so.
Yeah, and I think everything's in the packet.
And then some, yeah.
So, and there's a recommendation from staff. And Mr. Croak's been very good to work with through this process. So we understand this is, a mandate that the village put in place quite a few years ago. So we're coming down to the wire to do this. Just in looking at it, there were the different issues, primarily cost for a lot of, adding the sprinkler system to the locations such as the beach house. Just hard for us to justify with that being only used 3 months of the year. The guards don't really work out of there. They're not stationed inside. They're on the outside of the building. I mean, they go in and out to get some things, and then you have the restrooms, but nobody's in there for a prolonged amount of time. And for that location, especially, it's getting the 4-inch water service to that location. That would have to come off of Sunrise Avenue. And we had a new quote or estimate. I guess I have an email here from U.S. Fire Protection saying that could cost upwards of $200,000. We might have to do some geo-testing to try to get, get that service down safely to that location. So that was just very costly. The justification for the cart barn, it's not heated. We also don't have anybody stationed in there to work out of there. It's just storage for those units. And of course, it's the service itself. Again, that 4-inch service seems to be extremely costly, upwards of 50 to 75,000 just to get the 4-inch water service to those locations. And then the other building is the building beside it. That's the what we call the chemical building, where they fill the tanks to do the spraying. And so again, nobody's stationed at work out of there. There's not much equipment in there. And in talking with Mr. Croak, it seemed like a viable opportunity to maybe move all the chemicals out of that building to another building that has a sprinkler system, so that we wouldn't really have the need for the system there. So that only left the clubhouse. And so for that one, Park District's agreed, that that's going to be needed. And all we're asking for is an extension on the time frame for that one. So that can be done in the off season here for golf. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, that's our application, our 2 applications.
Okay, so can we handle all these as one project? Do we
Yeah,
have to?
that's fine.
Yeah,
If you want to. Yeah.
Has everybody read all this stuff? Okay, I've just lost my train of thought. Art, do you have any questions about it? Either
No,
one
I
of
don't.
these?
I would just say one thing, two things. One is they seem to fall within the same kind of exemptions we've approved in the past.
Right.
Mhm.
And the fact is that all the buildings could be built and comply with the building code except for Lake Bluff's amendments. So,
Mhm.
you know, up in Woodstock, they could build these buildings.
So,
That's it.
you know,
No, I'm in favor of the exemptions as proposed with the condition that was put out that an alarm system be put up in the cart barn. Other than that, I'm in favor of what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Ed,
Agreed.
okay. Any other, was Seth on board? Because I know he sent his recommendation in and his
Yep,
analysis. and-
let me, I click the button to allow him to talk. So Seth, did you want to say anything in particular? It seems like everybody's read your reports in the packet.
Hello and good evening, everybody. Yeah, it seems like you guys looked through everything thoroughly, and I can, kind of already see where you're going with this, and that makes sense. Yeah, so unless you have any questions, I don't think there's any need for me to go through the reports and my findings unless you had any specific questions. Understanding that there's a significant cost involved. Most of the buildings except the clubhouse are not occupied. So yeah, just feel free to ask me any questions if you have anything on my report. Otherwise, I don't have anything else to add.
Did anybody have any questions for Seth?
Nope.
Okay, all right, I think that covers it, Seth. Thanks again for your help.
Of course.
You want a motion?
Yeah, now let's do a motion.
I'll move that I'm reading from the recommendation here. I move that we direct the staff to prepare findings of fact approving the proposed exemptions as presented with the condition that a fire alarm system be installed in the cart barn.
Could I just try to clarify, for that system, the fire alarm system, would we get the exemption of as far as the time of that being due by April? Or would the fire system itself, the fire alarm, need to be done before the end of the year?
Yeah, so I mean, the end of the year is the automatic thing, but you could certainly put it into your motion to give them till April. That's.
So they
that's
all do them
something we
all at
can-
once?
We can,
Either way, it's not that hard to put a system in. Shouldn't be hard to get it done by the end of the year.
Shouldn't be, but we'd probably like to do it together as
But do it as a
one
package,
project.
Because they can't do the clubhouse yet.
Are they gonna put a fire alarm system in the clubhouse?
Clubhouse has one.
Yeah, then they're two different contractors.
It's, I think fire alarm, well, at least we've talked to a couple of them, but the one US Fire Prevention, they do both.
so
I'm not
sometimes the
concerned.
bidding for a
April,
public
April
job.
is fine.
Yeah, right, yeah. Okay, we'll put that in the motion, April. Okay, for that. Got it.
Okay, so that's your motion, second?
Second.
Second, okay. Gotta do a voice vote?
Yep, member Cottrell,
Aye.
member Dahlman,
Aye.
member Deegan,
Aye.
and Chair Hunter.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0.
John.
Very much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Seth, for all your help
Thanks,
in
Seth.
the reports.
Thank
Of
you.
course, gentlemen. Thanks. Have a great evening.
Yep.
Okay. Stephanie, John, you got the floor. You know the drill. You have to give your name and address.
Stephanie Bjork, 414 East Prospect Avenue and 1216 North Sheridan Lake Forest. My husband and I are the owners of what is told by Elmer of Liad and also in books as the original prototype camp meeting house on the 25-foot lot that was in the 1877 booklet. Our house carries the title restrictions to this day of the 1877 plat with a notation for the vacation of the 20-foot forward of the building line, our house is totally compliant. Our house building structure sits behind the building line and is completely compliant with the 1877 restrictions. In addition to that, when the house was rebuilt inside to shore it up, the village put conditions on that work with notations that it had to be unaltered on the exterior. And we have spent a phenomenal amount of time and money hiring very good people to come out from the city to do the restoration work. Almost all of the boards on the exterior are original, and have tried very hard to preserve a house that would have very easily been gone had it not been for the loving stewardship of the people prior to us. So I'm here this evening because we don't believe that we are being handled at 414 the same way as to issuance of permits and how work is being done as is happening around us. And as I said, we are restricted on title to that 1877 plat and those original restrictions. What makes this even more important is that my husband and I, the home that we own in Lake Forest is on the original Lund University plat, school plat, which was the beginning for the federal easement for the university. And this camp meeting plat was the federal document for the church. So those restrictions on title remain, and our a case that my husband and I had that went to the Illinois Supreme Court titled Bjork v. Davis. I've spoken to the trustees about it previously. The appellate court decision, and was validated by the Supreme Court, was that those federal restrictions mean something. And they mean something because, as the court said, if those aren't abided by, it renders the document meaningless. And so since we're obligated to have them enforced on us, we assume that it's something that should be enforced on those who carry those documents. And that's not happening. So Mr. Crook and Mr. Irvin has been in consultation with me back and forth for the last few weeks, including FOIAs that I have put in about permits, issuances, and that type of thing, and work being done that I questioned when I did not see permits, and I was interested in the village's response to those issues. There was recently a section of fence put, which I think is not only against our restrictive documents, but it's also, I think, very unsightly for the house and for the area. And it was a 20-foot section of fence that was allowed to be put up. And my issue with that is that I had been in to speak to Mr. Croak and Mr. Irwin prior about the fact that our home at 414 and the home at 418 share that common lot 19 by documents that the History Museum has and I had given to the village. And it was a shared driveway situation I can see by pictures and documents up through the 1950s and 60s. And like many of the shared easements that agreements that come through the camp meeting and throughout the village, I had raised the issue that of questioning what had happened further down Prospect when the garage was taken down and that land was split in half, what had transpired between the neighbors, because we were sensing that we were getting close to that. And the fence stub went up, thereby blocking our essential connection to that easement on the side of our house. More importantly than that, we're in the situation of needing roof work done. Every single permit bid that we've gotten has required that we use the driveway to the side to use for the dumpster, that it's impossible for them having 1.5 feet on each side to get that roof off and put the new roof on. So it impacts us, as well as drainage issues and other work that has been done that has no proper permits were ever pulled for, and that is both sides of our house. So we have several issues coming down the pike, and I had asked Mr. Irwin if he would give me the procedure to rescind that recent work while this issue is sorted out. Complicating the matter is that the History Museum has refused to give me documents that I can see online claiming the protection for, as a 501c3, not even so much as answering my request, despite FOIAs, despite me going in and asking specifically for documents that I can note online. So I feel shielding of those documents, given how critical they are to the house and our situation. I feel those are public documents, and I think that's something that the village needs to explore as to how those documents suddenly became not public in a 501c3 that is not available to me. And so I would like this group that I consider to be probably the most important in my mind in the village, because this is the tone. This is the right and the wrong. And I would like some consideration given to whether an investigation as to what those restrictions are on that 1877 plat, which are in that first booklet. Those will be at the History Museum. They're not allowed to me. The village claims that they are unaware what those are, and yet all of our titles carry them. So I would ask that maybe some research be done. I know Mr. Crook has had several meetings with me on this, and I feel I've sort of been left in a position where I can't get the documents. Jim Anderson has tried. They have been somehow removed from the plat at the county. And so I would ask all of you to be sensitive to the fact that I'd like that issuance of that hopefully dealt with. It came as a great shock to me that it was put up without any conversation. And more importantly than that, if you look from the sidewalk, you can see that the existing walkway that belongs to my house that went down that side has literally got a fence post put down in the middle of it. And the other side of the fence has been essentially taken. So I think this is not just an issue for my house. And it's not just an issue, it's an issue for the village, whether those restrictions are going to be enforced as they carry on the title, as we're obligated to be living up to. So we owned 415 across the way, thought we did a wonderful thing by saving that because we had a tremendous amount of development pressure to sell that for way more money, to have a much bigger home built on 415. And I'm very proud of the fact that the person who's in it now loves it, and it's a beautiful, admired house. So I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the effort you guys put in. And I would hope that you would reconsider the issuance of permission. I don't say permit because I believe it was done after the fact, after I raised the issue. But I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Sure,
Thank-
I'd be happy to look into it.
Thanks, Stephanie. I think what you're talking about is really beyond the purview of the board as far as our official responsibility. But it's interesting that I'm going to walk down there and see what it is you're talking about, because I know, my original part of my house was one of the 25-foot lots. I've got 3.5 of them. But I don't know what these regulations are that you're describing. And
It's the promotion for the 25-foot lots to be sold and the building line setbacks, nothing's to be forward of the building line that's enclosed space. And so open porch, which is exactly what mine is, which mine has the original 1800s wood underneath it. The building line setback is there, it's on my title, and the notes in the history museum, both the home at 418, which is set far to the right of their lot, camp lot 20, and our house at 414 set to the left of ours, leaving about 1.5 feet on our side edge, is because the two ministers by document and noted in a lot of the literature agreed that that was the promotional, my house was the camp promotional house, and they bought those two lots to keep the center lot as a shared lot for yard for their children. Because Reverend Parkhurst, who was the founding camp meeting, one of the founding camp meeting reverends, was the builder of the house that we now have at 414. And the other minister was the house at 418. And so the center was their yard when the 25-foot was done. So it really impacts the house at the corner of Moffett and Prospect, the new house on the north side, because the house at 418 is about 1 or 2 inches from that property line, and obviously we're very tight on our side. So if you go back through the documentation that I gave to Mr. Irwin and Mr. Crow, I think it's pretty compelling with what I'm saying is the case. And it's unfortunate that the village has taken the position to take sides prior to determinations being made. And so Mr. Irwin commented that I had 45 days to plead my case, and on review of the permit issuance. And yet there's no procedure that I can find in place anywhere for who does that or how. So if somebody walks down and sees what I'm talking about and has a procedure for me, I'll go there.
I think there is procedures in the code if you want to appeal the issuance of their approval of their building permit, and I think you'd
Well,
file an appeal with the Drew Irvin. Manager. Yeah.
To see the code and the ordinances, and it's not available for not found. So I did try that, and Mr. Irwin was not forthcoming on how that would be done. And I think this is an issue. Obviously, it just occurred further down Prospect. Obviously, neighbors must have decided that the shared garage and that arrangement didn't work for somebody. I don't know the details, but it literally, the garage went away and a fence went down the middle of that center line. And so something happened, and I had merely started my inquiry about that because I know we've known since we moved in that was the unspoken, because we lived across at 415. And we're aware of the guard was to the right and the walkways and that type of thing. So I would just, I know the policies and procedures to have plats, accurate, good plats be done before work is permitted. I have now seen after the fact one little piece of camp meeting cutout Xerox plaque from Mr. Croak the day of the fence going up. The owner telling me they didn't have a plat done, hadn't had one done. A one that Mr. Irwin produced for me that was dated 1965. And revisions to that one added up through to several years. So it seems to me like there's that the requirements should be, especially in the old part that carries those old plats with restrictions on the title, that those documents should at least be cared to be looked at before current zoning and that type of thing, which I don't have the luxury of accommodating that. And as a matter of fact, in a trustee meeting, I was told in in the full trustee meeting, my husband and I were told that if the house burned down because it was non-conforming, we wouldn't be allowed to rebuild. And more than that, we were told that it wasn't suitable for families today, that size and type house, despite having multiple families with multiple children in it through the years. We were told to buy something on either side and build something nice. So I think I understand the development pressure, but we're subject to one side of the rule. We don't have the latitude for that. And not only that, we think it's important. I grew up out east. People understand on Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard that there's roofs. And the fact that maybe they'd like to do something else. It's just a different mentality. So I leave you with that, and if somebody could give me direction or have the codes and enforcement work, or have some procedure to request a review of what I believe is against the campaign plan and damaging to my property in particular, and has several of the projects that have gone on both sides with and without permits that damaged my home. So I think that with all of you, I understand.
Here's the procedure. It's section 9124A4, and it says you have to file a written interpretation or written application with the village there in item number 4. And that's on the internet right now, so our code is working. What? Yes, that's right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've given him all of my reasoning. I've given him the hope that he then would be able to go to the History Museum and get the documents that have been refused to me.
Mm-hmm.
Totally and completely refused to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard for me to produce documents to satisfy you, Andrew,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't have access to what's in the History Museum.
Is there a reason why they've refused these documents from the museum?
The History Museum has now, I used to be able to get documents from library, which is obviously public records. The online is managed by library personnel, that database. Obviously, it's not the ladies, the volunteer ladies in the History Museum that manage that online past, present database. So in the past, I would go into the library and I would speak to the lady and tell her what documents I needed, and I would get copies, and that's how it went. And since these issues have come up, that I understand the difficulties, I understand the pressure of development on top of what I'm dealing with, I understand that, but I'm subject to title restrictions. And I think I bring a very inconvenient position to the table. And since I've raised issues and done research on the house, and some of these things have come to light, suddenly the History Museum is a 501c3, and every record is not subject to FOIA. And they literally have not even sent me a letter to say we're not subject to FOIA.
So it still exists somewhere.
I hope so. I hope so. I can see little bits and pieces online, but obviously the online copies aren't clear enough to read or see the whole plan. And it's not clear enough for me, the booklet that I saw before, that I know what the rules were before, that, as a matter of fact, came up when, the house, was, subject of much discussion, on the rebuild across, on Monmouth and Prospect. The setbacks and all those types of things on those 4 campaigning lots were a big subject of that discussion. So I know it was in the database knowledge back in the day, and I think it's just, I think it's not where the village wants to go. but to keep those records that I believe with all my heart are absolute public records, shielded now, completely shielded now. The library returned my FOIA saying that they're not subject, they have nothing there, nothing on my house. And despite me going in and talking to them this time, they're not forthcoming with anything off of the computers. And the History Museum, lovely person, I filled out their little form and I submitted a FOIA at the same time that I submitted one to the village, to the History Museum, and to the library, in the hopes of finding records that I could see that incomplete, and certainly not the critical one that Mr. Krogan and Drew keep asking me for, which is showing the title restrictions. Well, I've got this for you. They're on my title and they're listed as a plat of the county recorder's office, and every single camp meeting plat has those on them still to this day on the recorder's office. And so seems to me, if the village doesn't know what those restrictions are, maybe that somebody needs to find it.
Can you send me a copy of your title insurance policy Schedule B where it lists the,
The FOIA officer, when I came in to speak with him, because the FOIA that he pulled, I was told that the records were too voluminous to complete, which you're aware, which is another issue. And so I made a special trip in to meet with them in a week later and try to limit for them. The other concerning aspect was that I was told that phone communication is not kept. So if there's a request from people coming in on that type of thing, on FOIA, you don't get anything. So I think that's concerning as well. At least there should be some kind of a law for phone calls. When you're asking for all records, there should be a law for phone calls. So I leave you with all of this. I understand it's this evening. I saw on the agenda that there were exceptions being asked, permits being granted, and you guys were handling that. And I thought, okay, this is as close as I'm gonna get to hopefully an answer of drilling down, because I did that. So I will leave you guys with that, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. So this is something that's been going on for a while.
yeah.
Yeah.
Since 1877.
I think if she ends up, I know the house she's talking about. We all know the house she's talking about, don't you? It's
I don't know.
it's in
anything
the
about
next
it.
block down
But
from,
is the fence that she's talking about, I assume the neighbor built it.
Right,
And I'm assuming that the neighbor says it's on his property.
it is. Yeah, there's a surveyor's stake visible and it's on.
But if they
it's
have
on the
an
neighbor's-
easement, that's a
Is
different.
the
Right,
issue-
right.
But is the issue she
But you-
thinks
did
it's
you
on her
guys-
property?
No, she claims there's an easement or title restriction that prevents the neighbor from building the fence on their property.
Altogether?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I
Because
was like,
what was there originally, an easement between the houses?
She's saying there used to be a shared driveway over the property line, I guess.
And
I don't know,
that
you'd have to go
went
back
to
a long ways.
garage at the back of the property or something?
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, I mean, these days the neighbor has a garage and driveway entirely on their property, but she's, I believe she's saying that there used to be a shared driveway.
these are
and
those 25
easement
foot
over it.
lots, right?
Yeah, right.
Across, I get a
yeah.
house, I think on the others.
yeah, it's right across from, they were always
4 or 5 of
testifying
them.
when you did your.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
But you know, I mean, those properties changed hands on more or less handshake agreements.
Right.
You know, I'll put these, and you know, they didn't, the village at that time, and maybe still doesn't, require consolidation into a lot of record and, you know,
Right.
that kind of stuff,
Right.
which
I
they
don't
should have been
know.
doing 50 years ago.
Right, but in this case, these are people who have the original 25-foot lots and have not combined them or bought any
Well, how do they
additional
get a
property.
house and a driveway on a 25-foot lot?
They managed. Well, maybe the neighbor next door
No,
has
some-
too. The neighbor next
Don't
door
don't
might
the
have.
drives
Yeah.
stop at the house?
Their
They don't even go
driveway
First
goes
Stephanie's
right up to the
does.
top.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They like
right in the
stops
front
at the
of
front.
house.
Right.
Am
I
I
think her
wrong?
neighbor does have two lots. Yeah, 50. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Stephanie only has one. And it
Yeah.
stops at the front.
Stops
porch,
at the
right?
front
Yeah,
porch.
right.
The other ones
Gee,
are 50-foot.
In the
Right?
past, I've always been.
They
convinced
do
that
have a
They
driveway.
do,
Am
yeah,
I, am I,
right.
mi- am
You're
I?
right. You're
yeah,
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
No,
You like arts, I mean, you're dead on. Like, how do you get it? Yeah, 25-foot lot. How do you get a driveway back there?
Motorcycle
Not
only.
happening. Motorcycle only.
I mean,
my daughter. and,
Mike, didn't the village require a plat of survey to build the fence?
Yes, we have that.
Right.
Well, what she's describing, and every
Doesn't
time
show
I've done
anything
an
there.
addition,
On the
I've
surface.
got my original survey
Yeah,
that was done in 1958 or something like that.
yeah.
And when I bought the house, they just redated it. Came and checked the posts and, and then when I did the addition, I actually had a surveyor come and do it. And then I did another addition and they just redated that one. So I can understand what she's saying. You hope that there's some accuracy in there somewhere, but I'm pretty sure there's not.
We were doing a project on one of the streets over in this direction,
Mhm,
and there were narrow lots,
mhm.
and this person wanted to put an addition on the side of their house. And if you look at the plats, they're all the same dimension, the lots.
Mhm.
And there's the surveyor, it was Vince Massey, I remember. The surveyor had the dimension down to the corner. There were 3 lots, then the lot we were working on. And our lot was, I don't know, 50, I don't know, let's just say 50 feet wide. But the original plat of subdivision said they were 55 feet. And, if you went down to the corner, it totaled 55 feet per lot. And so I said to Vince, I says, how can that be? This guy's lost 5 feet of land. And I got basically a shrug, He said, I go by where the pins are.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm not going to start resetting pins all the way to the corner.
And that is what the law says, unfortunately, I think.
What's that?
That you get what's between the pins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right. I think that's the correct by the law. You
My
can't
daughter's
reset
house-
everybody's pins, even if, someone made a mistake 100 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daryl's house down on North, there's 2 Harlan houses and they were on supposedly 50-foot lots. Well, the lots are actually 48 and something and 49 something. They don't total up to 100. So the house is basically 40 feet wide. So she got 5 feet and then she had, I don't know how, no, the house isn't 40 feet wide because she had a driveway and a garage.
Mhm.
Well, the house next door to it was another it's smaller house. And they had to park right up to the front door, right off the street, right up to the front of the
Mhm.
house. Well, somewhere along the line before Daryl and John bought it, they came up with an easement. So now there's a driveway that's shared, which is really a pain in the ass, but probably 3/4, more than 3/4 of that driveway is on Daryl's land. But that's non-rescindable or whatever the word would be, so that unless they buy the house next door, they can never have their own driveway.
Yeah.
It's a little,
There's a really nice development in Highland Park that I liked in their R5
It's on Vine.
district. Yeah, on Vine.
I know
Yeah,
that.
right.
Yeah, my sister lives on
Yeah,
Vine.
right.
yeah, I know exactly. what you
Because
mean.
you could do duplexes there and somebody bought 2 adjacent lots, put a driveway down the center and did duplexes facing each other. It looks like
Really
one
smart.
4-unit development,
Yeah.
but it's 2
It's
duplexes
the
each on
entrance
their own
down to
lot.
Exmoor Country Club.
Yeah, right. And then the driveway down the center and you go into garages off each side.
Another one.
Well,
Yeah.
but
It looks beautiful.
I'm not quite sure, I've known
Beautiful
John and
layout.
Stephanie for 40 years.
I'm sorry, they have a
And-
house in Lake Forest plus this.
They
one?
have, I tell you, they have a house in Lake Forest that was who's the guy, the architect that did, the house in Lake Forest with all the big towers and the circles?
Howard Van Doren Shaw?
No.
Shaw?
No,
Adler?
no, this is a modern guy.
Oh, modern.
I can't remember names anymore, so I'll think of it when
It's
I.
not a Keck and Keck, is it?
No,
No?
no.
Towers and circles.
Yeah, he
That's
did
the
it right on the
difference.
lakefront. And
Yeah.
it just blew the neighbors away. He also did he's done some pretty big buildings and he's a very famous guy. Did some famous churches, but anyway, they own one of his houses.
Got it.
And it's a brick house and it's in the woods kind of, because it's just been overgrown. And they haven't lived in it for, I don't know if they've ever lived in it because they keep trying to keep it going. But it's back, you can't see it. It's off of Sheridan Road. You can't see it. It's behind a pretty neat, low Victorian house. But anyway, they've had some issues with that. Stephanie's a stickler. And she gets a dog, bone in her, the bone in her teeth. She's not gonna let go.
We adjourn.
I don't know what we can do. Nothing.
Well,
It
I'm
seems like
curious
they must
though.
be pretty wealthy people. Why don't they get an attorney, do title searches
There you
and
go.
do all that stuff?
I'm sure they have.
Oh,
They have?
and-
I'm sure they have.
And they aren't producing that.
I don't
because
know. I don't
We know
know.
what the answer is.
I don't know.
I don't understand the history of refusing to let them take a look at documents.
I can't either. I don't understand that.
It
She
does-
kept referring to it being a 501(c), and I
What is that?
have involvement, that's a federal tax thing.
Right, that's a
It has
charitable
nothing to do with the
organization.
issue that they're talking
It's a
about.
charitable organization. So she's saying, how can they, the the Historical Society is responding to her. This is what I understood. Was responding to her saying, we are a 501(c). We don't have to comply with FOIA,
That is correct.
which is true. The only people that have to comply with FOIA is Mr. Croak and Company.
The government, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But
That's right, the government.
that may be the legal reason, but it seems like a Bush League reason.
Exactly.
You
It
know,
seems like a dumb
for-
reason.
Well, again, I don't know that,
Yeah.
maybe they, as a historical society, they may have archives that they don't want to release to the public because they'll get torn, they'll be damaged, they're very fragile.
They do have some of those.
You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. That might well be the case, as they say.
Well,
"No,
then they
we
should
don't."
say that.
Well,
You
they
know,
may have told her that, but she
Yeah, they
said,
could spread
and
it on
then
a
she
table and-
responded and said, I'll get a FOIA.
Yeah, I don't-
And they responded, well, you can't get a FOIA because we're a 503.
Yeah, I don't know if she's talked to the Historic Preservation Commission and get what's his name? He'll get his teeth into it
Mhm.
if he feels like it.
Well, they could just do a title search as Neil or someone said and,
I'm sure they've
get
done that.
everything that's recorded.
So
Yeah.
that's where they've got all that.
Yeah, okay.
Something is not working out.
Could I make a motion to
Yeah,
adjourn?
you want to get
Yeah.
out of here, right? Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, folks.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Thanks, guys.
Yep,
That wasn't all.
Can I leave this to be recycled?
sure, yeah,
Awesome.
just do.